Hi, my name is Odyssey and I draw things for people who love fantasy. Today I will be going through how I drew Falin from the anime series Delicious Dungeons. Now, I absolutely love this anime. It is incredible, and if you haven't watched it, what are you even doing with your life? You need to put down whatever you're doing and go watch it right now. Now, what I always do first is do a little bit of a sketch, map out what sort of imagery I want, what sort of shapes I want, and really just hone down on the actual silhouette of the character. Now, this character is a little bit interesting to draw. She is, at this end stage, part dragon, part griffin looking, and part human. Although the griffin can sometimes look a little bit like a chicken, but if you know the anime, you get where this is going. I have to admit though, how I approached this drawing that I should have done differently was worked in grayscale first, because if you work in grayscale, you can very quickly figure out the values of your image, where the lighting goes and all that kind of stuff, without worrying too much about color. But for some reason, I denied all logic and just went headfirst into color, which you will later see why that was probably a mistake. As you can see, I'm roughly going through all of this, just adding in bits of detail here and there, not really trying to focus too much on one area at a time. I find if I try and focus on one area for a long period of time, I get bored and I need to look at a different part of the portrait. You can see here, I'm not really going into too much detail. I'm really zoomed out, not really focusing on small details. If you do that too much at the start, you'll lose focus on where the actual image is going to go. And I find it so much easier to get through a whole entire image by zooming out more and just focusing on the broadness of the entire image, and then later on going into the details. Now I'm also fighting over where I want my lighting to be. I have now drawn a little bit of detail into it, and so I don't want to lose that detail. I don't want to go immediately over the top of that detail with a block color. Therefore, I use the layer overlay. And this helps so much with adding a little bit of color, adding a little bit of light to the actual image itself, and really drawing the eye's attention to the main subject, which is her face. So it draws away from the leg and then travels up to the face, where it's the main focus. Now, as you can see, I've also used a little bit of framing with the circle and the triangle in the background to really drive home into looking at her face and to looking at the wings, which is the main focal point of this whole entire image. And you can see I haven't gone into a lot of detail with the legs. Like the foremost front leg I have, because that is in focus, but the back legs haven't even really bothered with it, because there's just not a lot of point to it. It's in the dark. There isn't going to be a lot of detail. You don't want the eye to be drawn to it. I've also drawn a little arrow on the image. Now, if you are anything like me and you need a very physical reminder of where the lighting is in your image, just draw an arrow on a layer, and that way your ADHD mind won't forget where the lighting needs to come from, because you always have an arrow of where it's meant to be coming from. This just helps, trust me, it really does. As you can see here, I'm going into more detail with the wings. Now, this is probably the hardest thing to do in the whole entire image, was these wings. And reference angel wings, reference actual owl wings. I love looking at owl wings and dove wings, or anything. Like if you want an image to look like something, just search it. Google is your best friend. References are there to be used. I don't get why people always think, oh, that's just stealing, just use your mind. No. You know what Da Vinci used to do to get really accurate drawings? He used to cut people up and actually look at the muscles inside the people, how it looked underneath the skin. Yes, that's right. He cut people open, looked at the skin, looked at the organs, and became one of the most accurate drawers in history, in probably one of the most psychopathic ways possible. Although back then it wasn't teensy little bit psychopathic. Now, right around about now is where I actually think to myself, is this actually going to turn out good? Is this all going to go to waste or anything like that? Because at this point, I'm just like, kind of 50-50 with it. Now, if you get to this point in your drawing as well, because I know I do a lot of the times, look at your image at where it first began, in the sketching stages and in the really, really beginning rough color stages, and compare it to where you are now. I really like doing this mainly because it really shows the progression of the image, because all artists know the feeling of having 20 other projects sitting in the background, like jealous partners looking up at you longingly, going, what about me, when you start a new project. So here I am ensuring I at least finish this one. Now, as you can see, I've moved on to the hands, the dreaded hands. Again, it's the same thing with the feathers. Always find reference. If you find that you are struggling with hands, look at your other hand. You're only drawing with one hand, so look at your other hand for reference. Now I've moved on to the face, and this, as you can probably see, is where I struggle the most, because I lean towards more realistic faces, not stylization, such as anime. So I really struggle here to get the eyes right, to get the nose right, because a lot of people always say that anime, it's like, it can be quite easy to draw, and to that I say, no, it's not. No, it's not. The stylization is so much harder than a realistic face, in my opinion, just because you don't rely on proportions of what you see. You rely on the style. You rely on those choices, those direct choices, and you have to make decisions on what looks good, on what design or style looks good. And that can be a really difficult thing. It's style. It's what defines a person with their style. It's what defines every single artist. So yeah, I really struggled with this face, but I eventually got there in the end, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And here is the final result. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, leave a like and comment below. As always, keep drawing. Bye.